What's going on, guys? Welcome to your Week 4 Koraidon Power Rankings for the Season 3 of the Lost Woods Draft League. I'm Ronald, and while this is not my division, it is still always an enjoyable time to come and report on the other league um, with their games. A lot of very, very fun sets that were ran today, a lot of cool teams, a lot of very interesting matchups that came out this week, and a lot of minor shifting, especially among the top teams contributing this week. We enter week 4 with 9 teams that are 2-1 or better in a 14-team league. Very, very tight race, and it's only going to pick up as we get further in the season, as we are almost halfway in as of the end of this week. So we will be seeing what is going to transpire. This will be a recap of the week. And admittedly, I think I've only watched one match. So I'm not sure what really happens in any of them. So that is my bad on not being up to date, but it is what it is. But thank you guys all in advance for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy my rankings for the Koraidon Division's Week 4. For our Week 4 power rankings, kicking us off at number 14, we have the Michigan Garchomps at a previous rank of 14. Took a 2-0 loss to the Toronto Toads. This was played on Showdown. This is Jasmine's debuting week, and they ran into a brick wall known as AJ. With some changes on this team, definitely went with a super, super hard rain mode with a lot of small options. Of course, you've got your standard Pelipper with Drizzle, triple Swift Swim Mom actually, just going full speed, running your Overquill, with Mirror Herb, just preparing for any setup, Basque Legion with Band, and then a Life Orb Kingdra. Supporting it, you have your Mold Breaker Fake Out to get around Frigoraph, and then just a Smeargle that happened to contain Ally Switch and Gastro Acid. So normally 2 moves that aren't necessarily seen on Smeargle all that often, which is super, super cool. Just being able to get rid of abilities that could threaten it, specifically looking at Gastrodon Storm Drain. I know in game 1, got a bit unlucky. Learning Magnezone was cloaked the hard way, in which I believe that Jasmine was in a good position, and then they faked out the Magnezone. They learned that Magnezone was not, in fact, not holding a cloak, and then Gastrodon just cleaned up the game. And in game 2, Magnezone and Ferrig paved the way for Gastrodon to once again have a solid endgame. Unfortunately, could not pick up many kills, but this is Jasmine's first week in the league. Of course, already being 2 weeks behind, but also playing against a super, super scary team that AJ brought, and took a tough loss, but always the bounce back is possible and will happen. They'll get to play Oath next week, and we will see how they continue. A lot of cool stuff, really showing that they're willing to go into the hard rain mode and are willing to have ways that counter it. But unfortunately, just a bit of a down week, and we'll see how they continue to respond as the season continues. At number 13, I've got the Pumpkaboos, coached by Jackson at a previous rank of 13. Took a 2-1 loss to the Harvard Hatterines in a pretty cool set. You had your Incineroar, Klefki, followed by Typhlosion and Furt come to every single game. Decided not to bust out the Murkrow with safety goggles, as in not any of these games Torkoal was not brought and Lilligant was not brought, so the Murkrow was not necessarily needed. You had your what is that, a quad non-damaging move on Klefki with a lagging tail just to slow everything down. Your Heat Wave to take advantage of the Sun on Magmar, Specs Explosion, and then a Frisk always being a very, very, very powerful ability in draft, followed by a Super Fang Grass not set, probably built for the Rhyperior, with the Miracle Seed grass nuts. Um, I think the biggest issue I see just immediately off the gate is your damage options are really Typhlosion into almost everything. I know Miracle Seed Grass Knot can do a chunk, but into this Armarouge, your only true damaging options are gonna be this Shadow Ball and Throat Chop. So really, in like game one, you saw the Incineroar do plenty of work early, and then Typhlosion was able to clean up. Furret probably got that Grass Knot onto the Rhyperior. But in game two, just Incineroar could not get anything going, and Conkeldurr, assuming that Armarouge or Indeedee set up Trick Room, probably a Follow Me and then Trick Room from Armarouge to get the Conk in, and Conk just ran wild on this entire team. And then in game three, more of the same, in which could not get through the Conk. Once Trick Room got up, Conk was in a super good spot. Could not do very much about it. You had to get the switcheroos on Klefki correct. Um, a bit minimal in the damage options this week, which I do think has been an issue on a few teams, and I think in this matchup at least, the damaging options weren't brought were Ninetales and Baxcalibur and Basque Female, all of which is very bad with Torkoal. So could not bring that. Maybe if one of them comes, you can see the Murkrow get active with the Basque Legion, as this entire team looked really good in the Basque, but still learning for Jackson. They will get to take on the team coached by Hawk next week, and we'll see what they continue to cook up as they progress throughout the season. At number 12, I have the Cosmic Clefairies, coached by CJ at a previous rank of 12. Took a 2-1 loss to the Island Dragons, but I have to say, I've really liked a lot of the team building that CJ has done. Super cool sets every week. Starting off with your Specs Galvantula. Really good for just surprises all around. You can get going very quick. Unfortunately, Galvantula did not pick up a kill in game 1 and game 2. But that happens sometimes. Instead, your Colbur Berry, Sludge Bomb Bulldoze, Galarian Slowking, just put in work against everything. And it came in game 1 and did a very strong amount of work. Got through the Rillaboom, and then assumingly a few other Pokemon, assumingly the Mandibuzz and the Tauros, in which Camerupt could clean up the Creongle, and then Mousehole just running your Follow Me, Helping Hand Super Fang set. Camerupt having weakness policy as well is a really cool idea, in which you can probably I'm trying to figure out. Oh, you can bulldoze it to get weakness policy activated, which can lead to eruption, and more eruption. And then your Sword Dance, that Shadow Sneak, Mimikyu set, just there to do a bunch of damage. Game 1, like I said, commanding. Game 2, swap to the Bruxious lead to get around Rillaboom, threatening a Trick Room, and then just Mousehold. This was mainly I'm going to get Trick Room up, what are you going to do about it? And Sandaconda and Creongle did not do anything about it. Tauros Blaze did a lot about it, though. Just dealing a ton of damage, 4 kills. And then game 3 ended with the Slowking coming back on lead, however, not able to get anything going. Mimikyu picked up a kill, but Camerupt could not get anything off, and Sandaconda and Tauros cleaned out the game. But still super cool team from CJ. Really liking team building choices they've been making. They get to play against Muhammad next week and will be a cool game. But while the Mons can be considered a bit everywhere, they're still building some very interesting sets, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they continue to evolve and build around this team while they are hunting for their first win of the season. At number 11, I have the Marlboro Master Balls at a previous rank of 11. Took a 2-1 loss to the Oak Trees. I think the one complaint I've had about this team is that they haven't been bringing damage. And this week they brought damage, which I'm super, super happy about. Um, Starting with your beat up justified Lucario, um, which did have a Rocky helmet on it, which is slightly questionable, but worked out. Um, or assuming it worked out. At some point, because Wims Lucario was never a lead together. You had your expert belt safeguard, Dragonite, running no dragon move, but Fire Punch Ice Spinner, um, Crook with your Black Glasses Crunches, a Scarf Magmortar, and then a Destiny Bond Gengar. I think it's more damage coming out, which is really, really nice. Nate's been lacking a lot of damage. Magmortar put in a ton of work in game one, but still in game two and game three could not really translate as the adjustment bringing Milotic. And Milotic couldn't really be touched because you had to click Magmortar's Thunderbolts into this team because you're unable to click Solar Beam because you're not bringing Sunny Day. Um, and that was just like a huge, huge issue for this team to get through. Um, Arcanine put in a lot of work in both game two and three when it was brought. Really, Oath trying to go with the Scrafty on Meowscarada lead with Illumise and Goldengo, and the solution was to not overthink it with Illumise and drop it, and then bring your Arc for backup, bring your Milotic as a lead mod, and then when you realize you don't need Meowscarada, Goldengo can be brought, but unneeded in game number three. Overall, a good showing for Arc. And I think also a good showing on Nate's side is that they're showing that they are getting more comfortable in building with the team, which I think is very, very huge. They are actually going for their damaging options, which is really, really nice to see. And showing that they are learning from this team. Transactions coming out on Nate's team this week, one of two. They have traded in Hitmontop and Blastoise in exchange for Toedscruel and Gyarados. So they're getting, although slow, a Rage Powder user with Spores, and then they are also getting a second Intimidator that they can put with Crocodile. Um, One more note on the team, still don't understand the Absorb. That maybe I just don't see something, but I'll leave it at that. Um, but looking forward to seeing how Nate continues to evolve around the team. Um, has a difficult matchup next week against Elena, but we'll continue to see how the team continues to improve throughout the coming weeks. At number 10, I have the Oak Trees, coached by Oath at a previous rank of 10, took a 2-1 win versus the Marlboro Master Balls, who we just talked about, and getting a look at Oath's team, bringing your Life Orb Goldengo with your standard setup set, and then expecting Scald or Ice Beam, and just clicking Imprison also prevents any Protects from coming out, leading way for your Banded Arcanine to just do so much damage, as well as your Scarf Meowscarada. And then just in the back to support, you have your Illumise with Struggle Bug, Tailwind, Encore, Fake Tears, and then an AV Scrafty. Team was very, very good this week. Lost game one, partially because of a crit, but caught off guard by a lot of stuff. But game two, adjusting the Scrafty Milotic was very, very good. You can get the Fake Out down. You can get Milotic starting to do damage and get it imprisoned up. And then you've got Arcanine to clean up in the back, and then your Meowscarada Goldengo. Chose Meowscarada game 2, didn't do much. Chose Goldengo in game 3, didn't need to do much. But cool stuff. Scarf Meowscarada is a very, very fun choice. It outspeeds almost everything, which made it very, very good. Triple Axle as well, great into the Dragonite, although you hope that misses or that hits every single time. And then just bring just a bunch of solid stuff. You got your Intimidator to learn with Dragonite's multi-scale, and just also reduce Crook and Lucario. The team this week super super good. Oath finally got in the win column, and I still think their team is very good. 1-2 start is a bit slow, but they're starting to pick it up and getting more comfortable. They get to play Jasmine next week. So we will get to see how they decide to approach the hard rain matchup, and we will see what they decide to build and come up with in the coming weeks. At number 9, I have the Island Dragons, coached by Hawk at a previous rank of 9. Starting out are 2-1s. Took a 2-1 win over the Cosmic Clefairies. And Hawk built a bit differently than he's been doing the past couple weeks. Most notably, a Grassy Seed Acrobatics Rillaboom, which I've played against in actual VGC before, and is just a super, super cool set. You won't really expect the Acrobatics to come out. You have your Berserker running Lord Fake Out with CC Ironhead knockoff, just a ton of great coverage stuff. AV Tauros, super, super cool with Trailblaze. Mandibuzz is a great mon for this squad. And then your weakness policy coiling Sandaconda to pair with your Ice Shard Triangle just could not do anything when it wasn't expected. Game 1, surprised by Slowking, happens. Rillaboom could not get 2 going with the Grassy Seed Acrobatics. And then Game 2, just Tauros took over. This Anger Point AV Tauros just did so much work against CJ's entire team with the Raging Bulls, with the high horsepowers, with the CCs, and even Trailblaze to get the speed up, put in probably a few shots against the Bruxious. And then Game 2, it was the Sandaconda show. Sandaconda with Earthquake to pair next to Levitate, with high horsepower, with Rock Slide and Coil. Next to the Creongle with Ice Shard, Frost Breath, Freeze Dry. Instant activations, super, super cool all around. And Hawk gets another win in the column, continuing to expand on the momentum on the season. Hawk will get to play Jackson next week in their Week 4 matchup, and I'm looking forward to see how Hawk continues to progress with the season and go forward with their team building. A lot of cool options, really showing what they can do outside of the rain, and I'm looking forward to seeing the continuation of this team. At number 8, I have the Daishe Dogos at a previous rank of 7. Our first movement on the rankings took a 2-1 loss to the Macho Mudkips. I did not get to watch the set. I know it's on the cord, but getting to debut the Grim on this team, I believe, or they may have had it last week. I think they did, but running a Light Clay Reflect with Play Rough and then Fake Out Taunt to surprise Chris in this matchup. You had your Anti-Screens Brick Break, Ice Punch Ursaluna for really, really good coverage. Just annoying Vivillon, annoying Rotom, and then a Sap Sipper Goodra to get around any grass type moves that might come out. And overall, Game 1, bit of a slow start. Could not get through the Glade. And when they could get through the Glade, Prim and Corv just cleaned up. But Game 2, decided to switch it up, dropped the Grim, realized it wasn't doing much, brought the Rotom Heat, and Rotom Heat into Corviknight is a bad matchup. You had to get the Prim out there, but the Prim into Rotom Heat is also not a great matchup. So this Rotom Heat just could do so much work early on, paired next to the Vivillon with Goodra and Ursaluna cleanup. But in Game 3, Chris adjusted, brought the Chandelure to soak up that damage, and could not get through the back half of Chris's team, specifically the Primarina. Ursa, assumingly using a ground move, could get out the Grafaiai out, but it was a bit too little too late as Prim just walked everything. Some cool things, going the full special attacking Goodra is a very, very cool option. Just not going any body press, which honestly would have been not great. You are not really bringing the Duscloth, but still that Trick Room mode is very, very cool. just a Max Ursaluna facade, very, very cool. Or not very cool, I should say. The facade with the Earthquake is standard, but the Ice Punch is very, very cool. Grimm's been getting a ton of really cool builds this season. Overall, it's a loss, but Breadman's team has continued to increase in scariness. And while they took their first loss, Chris is still a very scary opponent to play, a very good player. And if I'm Breadman, I'm not that worried right now. I know that Breadman will be able to cook something up with this team. And we will continue to see how Breadman expands on the team in the coming weeks and what changes could occur. At number 7, I have the Worcester Blue Sox at a previous rank of 2. Took a convincing 2-0 loss to the Boston Claunchers. The team just got walked on pretty much by Archaludon. You had Glamora Luxray getting its debut with your Guts boost. You had your Talonflame that saw no action. Life Orb Gambit, Sash Glamora, but just could not get through Calvin's team. Your Specs Como as well in game 4, but that was just a bit too little too late, having to click Vacuum Wave at that point in the game. It's just completely lost. But I think if the team sheet says anything, it's that just nothing could get going against the Archaludon. Archaludon was super, super hard to get through for Muhammad. You had your Glamora, Luxray each pick up a kill on the Ludi and the Kilowattrel. But both of these Mons were brought to support the Archaludon in its entirety. Sinistra just could not do much either, and then Gambit was just like a last hurrah that could not get through anything. Leading Luxray again, which I think it worked in this case slightly, but the Goth came in just surprise, surprise. And then again, Sinistra couldn't do much in the back. Como got 1 kill, but it was Vacuum Wave spamming, a completely losing matchup. This was definitely the first real challenge, I'd say, that Muhammad has faced for his team, and it pretty much blew him out of the water. Of course, Calvin's a very, very good team builder, an even better player, so he's going to team diff people, but just not being able to deal with this Archaludon was super, super problematic. Like, looking at Muhammad's team from here, your Archaludon counter is the Aura Sphere Como-O, and your Earth Power Glamora, but neither of those could get going against the Arch, as the Arch just lived and just could not be broken through. So, bit of a down week, but still, I'm not too worried about Muhammad. The challenges only get harder from here, but I have complete faith that he will be able to handle what comes his way. Muhammad will continue the season by going up against CJ next week, and you'll see how he recovers from this loss and how he continues to cook in his matchups. At number 6, I have the Boston Claunchers, coached by Calvin at a previous rank of 8. Convincing 2-0 win against the Worcester Blue Sox. I had to Google what Apricot Berry did. Fling Apricot Berry next to Politoed to get the Swift Swim boost. Politoed switches into Arch. So when the Fling Apricot Berry, Archaludon gets a +1 stamina boost, and then just a +1 special defense. So basically, this Apricot Berry acted as an Assault Vest. Pair that with Protect and Leftovers, Muhammad could not get through this Arch. You've got your Wide Lens Hypnosis stuff, and then also Psych Up if you want to steal anything from either Muhammad or the Archaludon. You had just a standard Sash Kilowattrel. The Tailwind's still doing a ton. Huge power, Rain Liquidations, insane. And then Gothitelle bringing the secondary Rain option if the Politoed is left behind, as well as Heal Pulse. You cannot break through this team. The only way that the Archaludon could have been broken through was with the Specs Vacuum Waves or the Specs Aura Spheres, and that was a last-ditch effort in Game 2. and it did not work out. Um, but this is what made Calvin's team so scary at the beginning of the season. It's sets like this. It's sets like the apricot berry that you think you're fine, you have no clue what might be coming after you. There's no reason to expect Fling Apricot Berry against the team. And it is super, super strong, and it worked out very, very well um, for Calvin. I would not certainly expect Fling Apricot Berry. I didn't even know what Apricot Berry did until this matchup, like I said. But super, super cool stuff. Calvin back in the win column again. Um, and has played some very, very difficult matchups for his team to start the season, and is only showing improvement throughout. And this team, a lot of synergy. He showed that it's got a lot of synergy, and will continue to put on the pressure as the season goes on. Calvin will continue by playing AJ next week. I could not remember who was playing, but that will be a very, very good matchup. Two extremely good players, and we will see how that ends up. And it will be a very, very exciting matchup. Looking forward to hopefully getting to see it. At number 5, we have the Battleborn Breloons at a previous rank of 1. Very, very big loss to the New York Ninetales. It was kind of just could not get through Houndstone. Among Us made its team debut. I believe it was a debut. I'm honestly not. I don't remember. But you had your ability shield in DD to check because Mr. B does carry Wheezing on the team. Wanting to keep the psychic terrain. You've got your AV Mamoswine. Whiter Brotom Mo is a very interesting tool on the team. Lorb Samurott still to do damage, and then Sash Sneasler carrying Vacuum Wave as well to get around Sandbrush Excadrill. And then Amoonguss following up with Grass Knot Sludge Bomb. Game 1 and 2, Amoonguss was the only ones to get kills. When you bring a team and Amoonguss is the only one to get kills, it's not a great sign. Picked up the T-Tar in game 1 and 2, and then the Excadrill in game 2, assuming that the Earthquakes KO'd the Clefable. Just could not get anything done. I think Mr. B has a very, very strong team, and when you are able to outpace Sneasler and you don't bring the stuff that Sneasler can use to catch it, like if you're trying to catch this team, an unburdened Psychic Seed, yes, I know you're worried about the Wheezing, but an unburdened Psychic Seed with close combat, only one of the T-Tar and Excadrill can have Sash, and then you can Throat Chop the Houndstone, and then Dire Claw the Clefable. That would have been pretty significant in the matchup, I'd like to think. Maybe I'm wrong, but assuming the Wheezing was not brought, you have to still respect that thing. But just could not get through the team. Even with the swap up with the Hisuian Samurott coming, could not deal enough damage to any of the team. Bit of a tough loss, but Elena will have a chance to bounce back against Nate in week 4. Still scary team, scary player, so we'll see how Elena continues to improve and bounce back from this loss. At number 4, I have the Macho Mudkips at a previous rank of 6. Chris took a 2-1 win over the Daishe Dogos, and bringing a cool team. Lot of really interesting tech choices. Specifically, your Black Sludge on Grafii, meaning that you can switch a route and just deal constant damage. Lumberry Corbinite, you're not getting Will-O-Wisp. Goggle Chandelure, no Vivillon. Room Service Prim, no Trick Room. Scope Lens Glade, no screens. Light Clay, Electivire, limited damage, and then Brick Break to break screens again. So this entire team is super, super anti-screens. You had your Rain Dance and your Parting Shot. Brain Dance to boost up your Prim or hurt the Rotom, and then and also protect the Corb in the process. Parting Shot just for very, very fast parting shots. Team just worked on, got through on what it needed to get through. Um, and a lot of really reactive pieces to on Breadman's team, but those reactive pieces worked really well. Gallade just cut through everything in game one. Sharpness, Scope Lens is not to be messed with. Game two took a bit of a bite, but really understood that Primarina is what was truly, truly needed to get ahead. And then game three, just like bringing the Chandelure off rip to counter the Rotom Heat with Electivire and Prim in the back. Um, Complete masterclass to end out the game, just completely out leading. Only dropped the Grafaiai, still had all of his other pieces left. Very, very big win for Chris. Very, very hard schedule to start off the season as well. Chris, in his first 3 weeks, had to play Breadman, Elena, and Mr. B, all of which have super, super strong teams. So did a very, very good job surviving that really, really early stretch. They get to play Nagai Freak next week, who is another scary player with a scary team. And Chris just has a really, really hard schedule, but is playing super, super well right now. And just needs to pick up a few more wins and keep on pushing. So super, super good so far with this season, and we'll continue to see how he builds against Nagai next week and continues to push on within the season. At number 3, I have Mr. B and the New York Ninetales at a previous rank of 5. Very, very convincing 2-0 win against the Battleboro Breelooms. Mr. B, another person that has had a very, very hard schedule to start out the season, playing Chris, Nate, and Elena. And just went full sand this week. Brought the Sash T-Tar, brought the Lorb Excadrill, just tons and tons of damage all around. And a Spell Tag Houndstone, just tons of damage coming out of Last Respects. Poltergeist also getting a debut, providing the Trick Room option with Rage Powder, Nightshade, and then if needed, a Memento switch out, which is a very, very cool tech. And then assuming that there's going to be no setup, just bringing Magic Guard, and then Misty Terrain to prevent any Dire Claw shenanigans from taking place. Ursa Blood Moon cleans out the team, cleans out the core. Of course, Ursa was not needed, even though it's probably the biggest threat on the team. But really, just masterclass gameplay. Went with the sand fast mode both times. Yes, T-Tar had no protect, but really, the T-Tar's just getting off the sand, doing a bit of damage, and then dying for the Clefable or the Houndstone to come in and support. But even then, Earthquake was not brought, so there's no need to sack Tyranitar. It just did not happen. This is a very, very convincing win for Mr. B. The team is shown to be super, super strong, continues to be super, super strong, and just is super strong. Mr. B will get to play Breadman next week in a very, very fun matchup. And then we will get to see how they continue to expand on their team. But as a huge fan of Sand, I really like how Mr. B's team has been working out and still has a lot of stuff that they can show. But overall, they will get to take our number 3 slot, leading off the 2-1s right now. At number 2, I have the Harvard Hatterines at a previous rank of 3. Nagai took a 2-1 win over the Pumpkaboos. And still sticking with the Psy Spam Trick Room stuff, but very, very cool. You have your Sun mode with your Torkoal and Lilligant. Did not want to bring it against the Murkrow, though, so neither of these came consistently. Just hoping to waste the safety goggles and a rain setting. Instead, going with the Indeedee Armor Rouge mode, going for Trick Room with an Iron Ball, Expanding Force Armor Cannon, followed by a AV Rhyperior that's just done a ton of work for multiple teams this season, and then a Guts Conk. This team took a tough loss in game one. Armrus and Rhyperior picked up kills, but could not get through Incin or Typhlosion. Um, but on game two, still running the same game plan, but from the looks of it, they got Conk and Rhyperior positioned in Trick Room well, sacked D&D to get one of them in, or just hard swap to Conk, which would have been very, very good. And then just running rampant with the Conk, picking up 4 KOs in game two, and then two in game three, one with a Rhyperior kill. I think this just shows the guy's been playing very, very interesting. Yes, Sun is a major component, but identifying that Typhlosion is the damage dealing part of the team and understanding that you don't need to boost it up anymore, and you can make that sacrifice and not bring Torkoal and just commit to the Trick Room. Super, super smart. And this worked out very, very well in this matchup. And there's a reason that they are 3-0 to start the season, and they've just been playing very, very well. While the team is a bit predictable, it's still picking up wins. Opponents have not been able to beat it, and it has continued to work out well. They will play Chris next week in their Week 4 matchup, and it will be very, very interesting to see how they continue to improve and work on their game for the next week, reaching the halfway point of their first draft week season. And at number one, we have the Toronto Toads at a previous rank of 4. AJ picked up another series of very good wins. That says 2-1. Ignore that. It's supposed to say 3-0. AJ, same from the guy on the last screen. They're both 3-0. But oh well. And AJ has just been playing this season super, super well, and there's a reason that I have them at number one. While the team was a bit they brought out a ton of really cool changes. Surf Dragapult's back, it was not brought. Bullet Seed Abomasnow is here with Icicle Spear, was not brought. But what was brought was a Armor Tail Frigg. Did not matter for the Mold Breaker, but the Scrappy Flamigo to get around and he intimidates with the Scarf. Damage, damage, damage. I say that, and it didn't pick up any KOs, but it also didn't die either. Instead, Gastrodon just continued to put in work with Storm Drain. Could not get through it. You have spores for it. Nope, there's no spore either. Gastrodon's just been a huge MVP of AJ throughout the season. And then Magnezone also cleaning up in these games. Frigg picked up a kill as well. But AJ's use of this Gastrodon, Frigg, and Magnezone, this core 3, has been super, super good. The Cloak Magnezone was huge in game 1, getting around the fake out. Just completely turning the game on its head. Gastrodon's just been a thorn in literally everybody's side. And then Uproar Frigg to get around any Spore shenanigans, with Twin Beam to get around any Sash shenanigans, and then Helping Hand to help out. Super, super, super good for AJ. AJ's just been playing super, super well all season. There's a reason that they are now in the top slot, and that is because, well, I may have not respected it as much. This is a team that has to now be respected by the entire league every single week. Even the transactions, AJ has made a transaction, regardless of their record, in which, if I can pull it up, the Salamence was dropped off their team, and Shiftry and Venomoth was added in return. Rest in peace, Salamence, but was not necessarily needed for this week. Probably not really a vision that AJ had with the Salamence in any coming weeks, considering they already had a Dragon type, and Salamence hadn't showed up any of the 3 weeks. So it got the axe. Instead, your Tailwind mode on that Flamigo can have opens up with Shiftry, and then your other modes that can rely on Venomoth, which might not come too often, but still exist, will be very, very good. But AJ, with a very convincing win, takes over a top spot and continues to shine in Season 3 of the league. So our current power rankings for the Koraidon division is as follows. We have AJ and the Toronto Toads, followed by Nagayfree, Mr. B, Chris, Elena, Calvin, Muhammad, Breadman, Hawk, Oath, Nate, CJ, Jackson, and Jasmine. Um, Still not a lot of changes, but still a very wide open season. With 2 3-0s and then 7 2-1s. There's a lot that can happen, and all of these 0-3s down at the bottom are going to start getting desperate, and will start playing much better. I shouldn't say better as in they're playing bad, but will be playing with a much better sense of how their team runs, and then with a bit more desperation to stay alive in the league. Of course, a lot of them have admittedly drawn some bad matchups, but it's still anyone's game, and looking forward to see how the season progresses within the last 5 weeks. Um, our week 4 matchups for it will be as followed: the number 11 Marlboro Master Balls play the number 5 Battleboro Breelooms. The number 14 Michigan Garchomps face the number 10 Oak Trees. The number 12 Cosmic Clefairies take on the number 7 Worcester Woosocks, and the number 9 Island Dragons take on the number 13 Pumpkaboos. Our matchups to watch include the number 8 Dayshay Dogos taking on the number 3 New York Ninetails, the number 2 Harvard Hatterines taking on the number 4 Macho Mudkips, and in the game of the week we have the number 6 Boston Claunchers taking on the number 1 Toronto Toads. So it's going to be a very, very cool week. Thank you guys all for watching, and I hope to see you next week. So goodbye.